Conference Showdown. We're here once again to talk about God's favorite number 1 versus number 2 matchup. To my left, Chris Bils, of course, our co-founder at The Striker, and the Austin FC beat reporter to my right, Benjamin Verhen, our LAFC beat reporter, just came on a couple of months ago, knocking it out of the park. And we are here at Hop Squad, anticipating tonight's big showdown, of course, between LAFC and Austin FC, possible playoff preview, possible Western Conference final preview if things shake out. It's going to be big. Maybe there's an MOC appearance somewhere in the line. They're both, of course, coming off 2-1 losses, but hopping a little bit here at Hop Squad, but not quite 5 o'clock yet. I imagine once the official workday is over on this weird Friday night, kind of set up for a match that we're going to get lots of people. So, just first general thoughts from Chris and Ben about what we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, well, first, Ben, welcome to Austin.
Thank you. Appreciate
Not the
it.
only Angelino that made the trip. It's I'm seeing quite a bit of black and gold around, and I know you wrote about that earlier this week. This just feels like, it feels massive for both teams, of course, and I'll let you get into the LAFC side of things. But for us here in Austin, I think this is by far the biggest game in Q2 Stadium history, by far the biggest game in Austin FC history to this point, and I think it's going to be a spectacle. ESPN, Taylor Twellman, John Champion, just take me through the LAFC side of it, though, because there's a lot of big games for LAFC. Is this reaching the same point that it is for us here?
Yeah, I think definitely this one is marked on the calendar like a long time ago. Even the first game in May, there was high stakes then. There's high stakes now, even higher stakes. You got Giorgio Chiellini coming back from injury. You got Gareth Bale, getting more minutes on the field. That's exciting for the fans to see. And, of course, Carlos Vela. Breaking news earlier about an hour ago, you had Christian Tello signed for LAFC, so that's exciting,
wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on right now around the club. And yeah, Austin is going to be a great competitor today. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get into it. We have this grouped into kind of 3 categories initially here in our notes. We have players we might see, players we know we'll see, and then players we won't see. So I wanted to first get you to talk about the, players we might see. You kind of teased it. Gareth Bale, Giorgio Chiellini, of course, 2 big summer signings. John Thorrington, the sorcerer of Tam, apparently able to get those across the line. So what are we going to see? Because I know that Chiellini's made a couple of starts. I know that they both appeared in games, but what can we expect from Steve Trundle tonight in terms of selecting those 2 European stars?
I think Chiellini, he hasn't played in about 3 weeks, so I think they're kind of easing back into it. Gareth Bale did have 15 minutes last week in San Jose, so you might see maybe like 30 minutes from him. But, I think they're kind of preparing for the playoff. They're not going to rush things, too much. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll see maybe like 30 minutes from both of them, if anything. I know Chirololo's probably going to be a little more cautious today because, they are coming off a 3-game week. And also next week they have Dallas and they also have RSL next week. So, it's going to be a lot of managing players' minutes.
Okay, so maybe 30 minutes more than Austin fans and players want to see.
Yeah,
Bale and Chiellini. So in terms of the other player we might see, kind of big news, of course, here in town this week over the weekend. Emiliano Rigoni came in. Obviously, the winger from Sao Paulo, the Argentinian, former teammate of Sebastian Dreuzy over at Zenit St. Petersburg back in the day, a couple of years ago, and of course back again as teammates. And then also there's that big question of Washington Carrozzo as well, the Ecuadorian that got brought on. So obviously needing wingers and needing that kind of speed. So talk about that. What does Rigoni bring? What does Washington bring? What do we think is going to happen?
Well, we know that Emiliano Rigoni's not scared of LAFC.
Yes, he said that.
He made that pretty clear at his press conference earlier in the week. But the question is whether Josh Wolf's going to trust him in a big moment for this team. I think, in my mind, if Austin FC's down chasing a goal, I think that might be a moment we see Emilio Rigoni. Short of that, I'd be surprised if we see him for more than maybe 5 minutes or so. He just, even if he's even on the bench, that's the other big question mark, is if he's even involved tonight. They might just, have him come out at halftime, hold up the jersey, do all that, because the fact is the dude has not played since early July, and he was barely playing before that in Sao Paulo. He's been kind of out of form, but he seems confident. He seems mostly fit. He's been training back in Brazil, and the thing is with players of this magnitude, and I'll get to Carrozzo here in a second. Yeah. Josh Wolf hasn't hesitated to throw a player out like Sebastian Dreuzy last year. He threw him in pretty quickly, so I think we could see a cameo performance. Don't expect him to start, and if he makes a difference late in the game, that would be incredible. I know a lot of the fans are hoping, though, that Washington Caruso can start making a difference late in games. And again, don't expect him to start, but he could be available, should be available off the bench back from that hip injury that left him out last week.
Yeah, when we were talking over lunch on my front porch, thanks for bringing the tacos over, by the way. Had a sick kid at home, so that's kind of what happened there. But we were talking about, okay, if it is more likely to see an extended run out for Rigoni, it's probably more likely that Austin's behind.
Exactly. No, that's what I think is that just because of the way Josh Wolf, has sort of treated these new incoming signings, I think he knows what Rigoni can bring in on the offensive end of the pitch. We all know what Rigoni should be able to bring on the offensive end of the pitch, but is he fully worked into the system well enough to be trusted if you're up 1-0 or you're trying to hold on to a 1-1 result late in the game? So that's kind of what I expect. And I reserve the right to be wrong, but I don't expect that we'll see much of Rigoni, especially if Austin FC is ahead in this match.
Right. So don't be disappointed if you don't see him. In other words, Austin fans.
Yeah.
Let's talk about players that we definitely will see. And again, we'll kick it over to you here, Ben. Carlos Vela. It's been kind of a different role this year. You've been writing about this all year at the Striker since you've been on. So talk a little bit about kind of how he's changed things up a little bit this year from what we're used to, and why that's still a dangerous thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had that amazing 34 goal per season in 2019, but so fast forward to 2022, he's been more of a playmaker for LAFC now. More of the creator, facilitator, if you may. I think he has a team leading 8 or 9 assists this season. So, yeah, you kind of see him floating around in the midfield at times. He kind of drops back a little bit to collect the ball. I think we'll see more of that today as well. We have Gareth Bale maybe coming back. We have Opoku on the wing. We have maybe Chicho up top. So, yeah, I could see him maybe, playing a little more of a creator role today.
Yeah, and Chicho is one of my favorite MLS players when he's not playing an Austin FC team. So, yeah, definitely that's been a good partnership all year. Of course, on the other side of that, of course, Vela has had MVP performances before. We're getting an MVP performance right now out of Sebastian Dreuzy. Could be approaching 20 goals, 10 assists. Pretty remarkable season for him. So talk about what he's been doing and what we might expect today.
Yeah, I mean, Sebastian Dreuzy, for me, has been the best player in MLS this year, and he's certainly been the main reason, among many, but really the main reason that Austin FC is where it is in second place in the Western Conference. He can lift this team in a way that I don't think that too many other players around the league. Hani Mukhtar in Nashville might be the best analog to that. Yeah. LAFC just has so many pieces. Austin FC's roster, and Ben, you and I were talking about this, I think, earlier today, is like LAFC's roster is at a point that Austin FC, I think, would want to be in 2 or 3 years. They're filled out. They've got just all these luxury pieces for Steve Cherundolo to pull on in a big moment. Josh Wolf doesn't have that luxury right now, but what he does have that's a huge luxury is the best player in Major League Soccer, the leader in the Golden Boot race, and a guy who, if he puts on a performance tonight and carries Austin FC to a result, I believe will seal MVP almost assuredly, even with 7 games left in the season.
Yeah, I mean, Hani Mukhtar, Jesus Ferreira still have things to say about that. But, yeah, Dreuzy seems to be putting a stamp on it so far. I mean, every MLS team in the week, basically, for the last 2 months, Dreuzy's just on there consistently every single time because he's putting in those kind of week-in, week-out performances. The other 2 people that we are pretty sure 100%, close to 100% that we're going to see tonight would be Brad Stuver and Maxime Crepeau, the goalkeepers. So, first of all, Ben, let's talk about Crepeau and kind of a difference that he's made for LAFC, because last year goalkeeping maybe not as good as it could have been for LAFC. And how's that been this year?
Yeah, he's been a huge addition to this club. I mean, he's been consistent all season long. He has had a couple of hiccups here and there, but for the most part, he keeps the team in games with the saves. He's always vocal. He's a leader. He just keeps the backline balanced. He communicates well. So yeah, I think he's been a huge part to this LAFC's club success this year.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Stuver, obviously, we love his goalkeeping. There's the chant that happens in the stadium every time he makes a save. Obviously up for Humanitarian of the Year as well. Really, really fantastic all-around guy. But talk about what he does for that team. I mean, obviously, it's what he does on the defensive end, but also kind of stealthily what he does maybe on the offensive end as well.
For sure. Brad Stuver, if you're watching from home and you haven't watched too many Austin games, there's no booing happening. It's going to be all about Stu. I imagine maybe some of the loudest, of those cheers that we've heard in the stadium's history. But there are some moments that make fans nervous. And that is the beauty of Brad Stuver, is the confidence that he plays with, I think. And he's going to want to make up for the last time that Austin FC played at home. Against Sporting Kansas City, he made two early mistakes that led to goals. And he can't do that tonight, and he knows that. And I think that similar to the way that they played the first time against LAFC at Bank of California Stadium, I think you might see some longer goal kicks. You might see them play, a little bit out of pressure, a little bit quickly. But in those moments when he sees that he can play a ball through the middle, he's not going to shy away from doing it. And that's what makes this Austin team tick. It's from the back to the front. Every player is offensive. We've seen it with Julio Cascante, and the fans don't necessarily love that aspect all the time when you've got Julio Cascante and Brad Stuver making individual mistakes. But it's also a big reason why Austin FC scored 55 goals this season, is that every player on the field is dangerous with the ball at their feet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've worked at playing out of the back this week. I'm sure that's been an emphasis in practice. So let's go. One more player we want to talk about. Players we won't see. Elia Sanchez, of course, the All-Star this year. Number 6 came over from Sporting Kansas City. Obviously, you saw what happened to LAFC's defense vis-a-vis what happened to Sporting Kansas City's defense when he switched teams. But yeah, how big of a loss is that going to be tonight to not have him in there?
Yeah, it's definitely a big loss. I mean, he's been the catalyst in the midfield for them this year. He's always pulling the strings, always covering for players when they go up the field. So, yeah, it's a big loss, but we do have coverage. We do have Kellen Acosta. He played the 6 last week against San Jose, did a pretty good job there. We also have Sebas Mendes. He just joined the team not too long ago.
That's right.
And we have Latif Blessing, Cifuentes. So we have some coverage. I don't think it's going to be he's going to be missed, of course. But we have someone to cover for him as well.
Yeah, it could be a little bit more wide open game than we're used to seeing from both these teams, maybe with that piece out of it. So maybe there is some kind of like 4-3 Quakes level chaos, or even 5-4 level chaos happening. So let's talk about the coaches for a second. Obviously, you have the first year coach Steve Cherundolo. You have the second year coach Josh Wolf, former teammates on a World Cup team. So Cherundolo, what's he been like this year? I mean, again, obviously a lot of questions coming in terms of his experience, in terms of his ability, in terms of the season that he came from the Lights, but turns out he's a pretty good coach.
Yeah, I mean, I myself was skeptical when he first signed with LAFC, but he's proven me wrong. He's proven a lot of people wrong. His game management has been great. His in-game substitutions, just the way he's been able to manage the games every game this year. He's been great for the team. He knows how to keep players happy. He knows how to manage players' minutes very well, and I'm happy we have him.
Okay, great. Yeah. And then on the other side, what about Josh Wolf? I mean, there was a lot of hashtag Wolf out noise last year. That seems to have dissipated a little bit this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we all that follow the team closely knew that was going to be a bit premature for the front office, certainly, and that Josh Wolf was going to get a chance to put his stamp on this team in year 2. What we didn't expect was just how much of that stamp would pay off for Austin FC, and the fact that the things that he was so dogged about last year have paid off. The ability to play out of the back, the awareness and the the understanding that the players have of the system that he wants to play has really paid dividends for Austin FC. Now, Sebastian Dreuzy carries a lot of that load, and it kind of makes coaching a little bit easy in the second half of games when you've got a guy that is going to go chase a match for you. But I think he is right when he says that the reason that they are able to come back a lot of times is because they come back to the style of play and the system that they've drilled time and time again every day on the training pitch. For me, these two are definitely in the conversation for Coach of the Year. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how they put their stamp on this match in particular. And on the Josh Wolf side of things, can he get his team to play a little bit tighter, a little bit more defensively in some moments, so it doesn't get so stretched, so it doesn't get so open against a team with guys like Gareth Bale and Carlos Vela, that if you got an open game, that's goals, baby. That's not. There is no way around that. LAFC is going to punish you if you leave the game open, and so it's a big test tonight for guys like Danny Pereira, guys like Alex Ring. Maybe we see Johan Valencia in the mix. He played against LAFC the last time around. How does Josh Wolf move the pieces around and get the best out of these guys so that they don't get run off the pitch by the best team in the league? And how does he make his subs around if they are starting to get run off the pitch by the best team in the league? How does he stem that blow? That flow. I think he has a good chance to prove himself on national TV to a national audience tonight that Josh Wolf as well as Austin FC is for real.
Yeah, so we're mentioning Coach of the Year here. So one of the big questions we had is, do trophies come from this? So let's start with Coach of the Year. Like, do we think either of these coaches have the opportunity to cement themselves as Coach of the Year this year?
Yeah, I mean, with Steve Cherundolo, he does have a luxury of having one of the best teams on the league. But it's one thing to have it, and it's one thing to manage it. I think you have to manage egos. You have to manage just the camaraderie in the locker room, just how everybody's getting along. That's the coach's job, and I think he's been doing a great role this season for LAFC. Cherundolo has. So yeah, I mean, I think he's been able to manage. Like I said, I keep saying it, the players' minutes. He's been able to rotate guys when he needs to. So yeah, it's been a great job so far.
Yeah, I mean, throw Christian Teo in the mix, and I mean, who knows? I mean, that's
Right.
that's a lot of attacking pieces and just one ball. But but he's done a great job with it so far. For Josh Wolf, case for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the case is that the improvement from year 1 to year 2 is I think what probably going to end up being the biggest improvement from year 1 to year 2 in an expansion club's history. Now, we don't know quite how the season's going to finish, and I think he's got to kick it into the garage, get this team across the line to second place in the Western Conference. But if he does that, I think that he's got definitely a case for Coach of the Year. The problem is that the precedent is there. Bruce Arena took it last year. His team, broke the record for the points record in MLS. LAFC's on pace to do the same thing. I think that it's a pretty easy case to make and a pretty easy vote for national writers and things to make to give Steve Cherundolo his share of the credit for that. But I think from a coaching job and just an improvement standpoint, I think Josh Wolf's got every case for that award as well.
Yeah, I mean, a couple other candidates in there in the East, too. You've got Wilfred Nancy and kind of the leap that Montreal's made. Of course, you got Jim Curtin and the excellent season that they're putting together over in Philly. But I mean, Wolf, Cherundolo, both, they're both worthy candidates for sure. So MVP and Golden Boot, this kind of goes together. So Dreuzy, can he lock that up tonight?
Oh, he can't lock up Golden Boot.
True.
There's still plenty of time left in the season for Jesus Ferreira and Hani Mukhtar to keep scoring goals. And I mean, Hani Mukhtar just so impressive last week against FC Dallas.
Yeah.
But I think that it's sort of. I almost look at this as we're in college football starts this week, right? And I kind of think of this as like the Heisman moment for Sebastian Dreuzy. Austin FC hasn't been on national TV in a while. They're not going to be on national TV again until the playoffs. He's got a chance tonight to show the world, to show national audience, this is who Sebastian Dreuzy is. And I think that, if he can do that, I think he will score 1 or 2 goals, have a moment like the Rabona assist that he had the first time around against LAFC. I think that pops the eyes wide open, and that almost seals the deal for Sebastian Dreuzy as MVP. Now, it could go very, very differently if that doesn't happen.
Right. And then on the other side of things, in terms of something that maybe LAFC can lock up, it's kind of heavy, looks like a big plate, supporter shield. Do you think you're going to get within driving distance of it after tonight?
Yeah, I think so, especially if we get the win. I know that Cherundolo mentioned in his press conference this week that he was his tone kind of made it seem like he was going to be a little more cautious. Like a point would be good if they got a point on the road. So I think he's going to kind of feel it out and see how Austin plays in the beginning, first 15, 20 minutes, see if they press him a lot. So I think it's going to be a little more cautious for LAFC, and then second half turn it up with the substitutions.
Okay.
You ready for a moment of truth, Phil?
Yeah, go for it.
Supporter shield's done.
Okay.
I think there's no way that LAFC is coming back to the field, right? That's not what this match is about. I think for the players, they still have that belief, and they should, that they're chasing a supporter shield. But I think this game is more about reputation, more about putting a stamp on this season nationally to say Austin FC is an MLS Cup contender. It's about the playoffs at this point. And, we can sit here and talk about the 9-point gap and whether if it gets to 6 tonight, this shield is still up for grabs. I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's about Sebastian Dreuzy, putting on a show, his Heisman moment. It's about Austin FC getting a chance to shine, and it's about everybody in this bar after this match is over, overreacting and saying we're going to win MLS Cup. That's what tonight's about from Austin FC's perspective. And if it goes, poorly, if it goes the other way, they're still second place in the West. And the Shield, like I said, the Shield is done.
I mean, Shield's not the important trophy anyway, right? Though it's the MLS Cup. So MLS Cup or bust, kind of it seems like, right, for LAFC. I mean, they seem to be throwing in just the players they're getting, the moves they're making. Again, just even Mamadou Fall, exiting to get some more playing time. They've kind of locked in with the defenders they want. They're getting more attacking pieces all the time. I don't think there's any more attacking pieces they can get after Teo comes in, but they're definitely filling the boat up with those. So what do you think? I mean, is this the year that LAFC is going to do that? First of all, get to MLS Cup through crowded West, and then are they going to come through?
I mean, it's tough to say. I think, to answer your question, I think it is MLS Cup or bust. We saw it in 2019 when they broke the record for the points and the wins and all that, and they got knocked out by Seattle in the conference final at home. So that was a bust in that time around. So come this time, you have even a better team. You have all these players coming: Gareth Bale, Chiellini, Teo, Buanga. You don't sign those players to not win. You're sending a message to the league: we're going to win now. So I think it is MLS Cup or bust. Like you said earlier, we were talking earlier about the whole penalty kick situation, how they could get knocked out in the first round by RSL or Portland. So yeah, I mean, we never know; it could happen. But I think they have a chance to go all the way if everybody's healthy. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on paper, I mean, clearly LAFC wins it. But again, the MLS playoffs, they are cruel. Yeah. So you never know what can happen once we get past decision day on October 9th, see where the seeds are. And it's going to be wild. I mean, again, just, from an Austin perspective, could be Sounders as the 7th seed, could be Nashville as the 7th seed. Yeah. Could be the Galaxy as the 7th seed, who Austin struggled with this year. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And I think that's where I think Austin FC is going into this, just kind of with house money, because they've already accomplished their goal was to make the playoffs.
Right.
Now that they're chasing Supporters Shield, or that, that's what the message inside the locker room. And yeah, there's pressure. You get a home playoff game, you want to win it. But I do wonder if even now, 2 months out from the playoffs, month and a half out from the playoffs, if that pressure is already starting to weigh a little bit on LAFC and Steve Cherundolo. I mean, when you guys start to ask them questions about playoffs, what's the sense that you get? Is this group, just so together that doesn't bother them, or do you think that they're feeling a little bit of that weight of expectation?
Yeah, they don't really think about playoffs yet. They're kind of going game by game right now, half by half. They don't like talk about the future just yet. They're focused on winning every game and just kind of playing half by half, like Cherundolo says. I think once the playoffs do come around, I think when Buanga and Teo get settled in, it'll be a different story. We're gonna ask more questions then. But I think for right now, LAFC is just focused on getting everybody acclimated to playing as a team when playoffs do come around.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a few weeks to really integrate everybody completely into the squad. So I mean, again, that's something to look for. I mean, there's a lot of storylines that are going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that one of the loudest cheers that we're going to hear all season is the game that's going to clinch a Q2 home playoff match.
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, but just the idea of a Q2 home playoff match is it's already, I think tonight's going to be special. Mm-hmm. I think tonight is going to be, different than anything that we've seen inside the stadium, maybe since the home opener. But even that, I think people were still getting used to what this is going to be. People now know what Austin FC is, and people around town are talking about this match. I was just looking at resale prices. Get on it quick, folks, because it's starting to drop. It's down to $120. It's $120 to get into this match tonight.
That's amazing.
I'm looking at going home to go to an Ohio State football game in a month. It's cheaper than this game for a Big Ten top 25 matchup. That's the level that we've reached inside this market. And yes, it's a 20,000 seat stadium, but that tells you that this thing is resonating, and that once we get to playoffs, you're going to have this game to look back on to say, whoa, I was at that LAFC match. I want to be at this home playoff match. I want to be there when Austin FC plays at home, against whether it's one of those teams you mentioned. And I'm really excited to see how the end of the season goes.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we are just after the top of the hour. We're about to get out of here, but we have to do one more thing, and we have to do predictions. So, Ben, I'm going to start with you. We all have to commit. This is all on the record. We'll all have to look back on this someday and see how far off from being right we actually were.
I think for me, it's going to be a draw. It's going to be a 2-2 draw. I think Austin's going to come in strong in the first half, and then LAFC is going to make some subs at halftime and, be the second half dominant team that they've been all season. So I think Austin takes the lead in the first half, and then LAFC ties it up in the end.
Okay, sounds good. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna go 2-2, but Benjamin, I think you kind of twisted my arm a little bit. I think it's LAFC that goes up early in this match. I think that's just the way that script has been all year for Austin FC. It's gonna feel low. It's gonna feel like there's nothing going on. Sebastian Dreuzy gets his Heisman moment tonight. He gets his MVP moment. 3-2 Austin FC.
Wow. Yeah, both compelling cases. I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between those scenarios. I think 2-2 though. I think it's a draw. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. Yeah, I do agree. I think if a team is going to go up early, it's going to be LAFC. But again, like we've seen time and time again this season, Austin's got the ability to come back from that. It might not be the best plan, as it were, right? But apparently part of the plan. And as we know, Josh Wolf has a plan. There are principles, there are objectives. They've been helping Austin even when they get down. Like we've heard the players talk about all year. They know how to solve problems on the field. That's kind of the difference between last year and this year. And I mean, again, LAFC, that's a big problem. That's a conundrum. They provide a lot. But I'm looking forward to a really good contest. I think it's going to be fairly evenly matched.
Wait. You're not getting out of here. Did we get a score from you?
Yeah, it's a 2-2.
2-2. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got draw, Austin FC win. It is a home game. But now for sure, LAFC is going to win 3-0. That's just how.
And then we'll be back at Hawk Squad, where people will be either drowning their sorrows or partying, or both, obviously, because like you were saying earlier, and like I'm seeing right now, a lot of black and gold jerseys in here. People mixing, mingling. I mean, that's the really awesome thing about MLS. We've got both sides coming together, being one big MLS Western Conference family.
And make sure you do check us out. After the match, we'll have 2 post-game shows, one with the Moon Tower guys, Landon and Jeremiah. I think they've got some special guests lined up as well. And then the 3 of us will be back over here to digest and tell you what happened in the press conference. All the reactions from the players, we'll have you covered here at the Striker.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that 30-day free trial, just sign up. Takes you less than a minute to do it. You're in close to decision day, and then just people who are with us, they decide they love it, they come back, they stay with it, they're getting all the coverage. And again, you're not just getting Austin, you're not just getting Houston and Dallas, but now you're getting the LA teams, now you're getting Atlanta, Grand WSL. It's been an incredible ride this summer, and we're going to keep it going. All right, thanks so much for our producer for doing her great. Yeah, we will see on the flip side of this with some quotes, some kind of initial reactions from what happened, and then we'll be writing and posting.